especially when we're talking about that 100. You mentioned Fred Curley, defending world champion, out in the semifinals, and he didn't look like the same Fred. It almost looked like he was too comfortable in the 100. Didn't like it's a semifinals, like you have to make sure you execute grabbing those top spots. And clearly afterwards he was just disappointed in his overall performance. He finished 9th overall with a 10:02. And then just thinking about what Noah Lyles did, complete opposite of what Fred did. Noah Lyles, 70 meters into that race, started celebrating Gordon, like pumping his hands up and then high stepping it across the finish line. And to be honest with you, Gordon, when I saw him run that semifinal round, that's when I knew that we were going to see something special from Noah Lyles in that final. It just looked like he put everything together. His start was a lot better than what it was yesterday. I think we can all agree there. He pushed out of the blocks. He was aggressive and just like eased up, and it was still beautiful to watch. So even just seeing what was happening in that morning session, specifically with Noah Lyles, it kind of just alluded to what we were going to see this evening. And I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. How are you feeling about what just unfolded right before our eyes, moments before we went live?
Yeah, I will say there's a disappointment that Fred wasn't in that final, because I feel like Fred should have been in there. I think he made more of a tactical mistake than a talent mistake. Fred is one of the top 8 runners in the world. And that's the thing about championship races, that sometimes favorites, people just have a brain fart and just aren't there mentally or physically. And whether you should be in the final, but you get knocked out. And so it was a little bit disappointing that we didn't get to see Fred versus Noah versus everyone else. But at the same time, we saw other athletes step up in that semis. I mean, Christian Coleman looked very good in the semis. He also ran a 9.8, similar to Noah. And we said there was a conglomerate of guys, right? You had Tebogo, Hughes, Coleman, Noah Lyles, and Ferdinand Omanyala. And you could go on. And it was like, hey, this is a toss-up. And it became an ultimate toss-up when the defending world champion, the top 3 medalists from last year, none of them were in the final. And so you knew, hey, Bleak Seville is the top returner right now. And he looked good in his semi. So you just think it's for anyone's picking, and whoever's going to be able to put it together in 2 hours later was going to do it. And it was Noah Lyles. And it wasn't a dominating run by Noah, because he was pushed. There was, 4th place still ran 9.8. The top 4 all ran 9.8. Christian Coleman ran 9.92 and finished 5th. So Tebogo and Hughes had a shot. And so there wasn't like a annihilation for Lyles. But the fact that Lyles runs this quick in this deep of a race shows that he has successfully, in my opinion, achieved a world caliber gold medal type 100-meter runner. Obviously, he won the gold, so obviously he's a gold type runner. But there was that question mark basically his entire career. Yeah. When will he become a 100 guy? And even though he had some good 60s, and even though he, qualifies for the team at USA's, there still is that question mark. This guy got 3rd at USA's. He was 3rd at USA's. And now he's a world champion. He has answered all the questions. It's now a complete sentence. Noah Lyles is the fastest man in the world. It's wild.
Yes, it is wild. And I think also just knowing Noah Lyles' strengths, right? Like, we know he's a finisher. And we could see it like visibly when we're watching this, that like his start was great. Middle of the race, it was just like, okay, is he going to get into this other gear? And then quickly we just see that race unfold to where it was just like, okay, Noah Lyles is coming for Christian Coleman, because Christian Coleman was leading that race. And I think the rest of the field, we already know Christian Coleman has that rocket start, and the rest of the field just like slowly and all of a sudden quickly just like came up on him. And Noah Lyles just came across that finish line in first, winning the gold. So like you said, he made a statement. This is definitely going to give him the confidence and the boost that he needs going into now the 200, which is where I feel like his bread and butter is. I'm excited for that. He has very big goals for that 200, and I'm just here for the ride.
And you got to imagine, Noah Lyles was not a 9.83 guy last year when he ran his 19.3. Now we're going to have a 9.83 guy run a 200. We're going to have a 100-meter world champion run the 200. He is going to be better than what he did last year. There's no way he's going to have a subpar race and from last year. And if he's going to have a better race than last year, we're going to be talking about 19.2s, maybe 19.1s. World record is still kind of wild. It's still blasphemous to say. I tried to predict a world record for Fred Curley, and the entire country of Jamaica came at me, deservingly. Even Bolt came at me. So I'm not going to say Noah Lyles is going to break the world record, but if you're unbiased and you see what he did last year and you see how he developed into now a 9.83 guy, you got to think if it's not this year, it could be the Olympic year. Like in the next 1 to 2 to 3 years, Noah Lyles is going to give us at least one shocking performance, at least. I
think it's going to come sooner than what you think, maybe.
You think it'll come this week?
I'm crossing my fingers for it. I really am. And you pretty much just said it too. Like, just thinking about what he did last year, what we just saw moments ago, not even 30 minutes ago, what he did in that 100. He's stronger. He's faster. I feel like he's more focused. The confidence is there. It's just putting the race together now.
I think we could see a 19.2. I'm not sure if I'm ready to say we see a 19.1. I'm not ready for that.
I'm ready.
What did Bolt run in the 100 prior to his 1919? Because he ran in 2009. So I want to bring up his 100. 2009. So yeah, he ran 9.5 the year he ran 1919. So again, I think I remember it is 9.83. Like 9.83 is good, but it's still like the 76 fastest time run, right? People have run 19.8s, people have run 19.7s multiple times, but I do think he's gonna notch it down. I think he's gonna run 19.2 high, maybe 19.2 mid, and then after a whole year of establishing 100, going into next year, he can become the 9. Like you said, maybe the 9.6, 19.1 guy he thought he could become. And maybe he's just 1 year ahead of it.
Okay, fair enough. Stay tuned for the rest
of the week. What about the other athletes? Tobogo, Hughes, Seville all run 9.88. It's wild. Second, third, and fourth all run 9.88. Seville, man, guy runs 9.88 and gets fourth. Like, I know. Come on.
It's wild.
It's insane. What are your thoughts on the other remaining athletes outside of Lyles, obviously?
Yeah, well, I think this was a really fast final as to be expected. And, you know, it was just wonderful to kind of unwatched. And it was just fast. That's all I can really say. Everyone else ran well.
Tobogo, I think, very impressive. 9.88.
Hughes, national record.
Hughes, great. Yeah, national record. Hughes, 9.88. I mean, they were all separated by 0.001 and 0.003. Only one American in the top 3 after sweeping last year. And it's the American who wasn't even in the final last year. Coleman being a consistent finals qualifier. But, man, I feel like Coleman, I think he's still probably recovering from, like, if he didn't have that suspension where he had to sit out the Olympic year, you got to imagine Coleman would be more in the 9.8s in this race than a 9.2 because he looked good in the semis. But, hey, that's why they run the race. So, Lyles, champ, Tobogo, second, Hughes, third. Jamaica, no. I thought this was the year to get Jamaica. At least I thought Seville was going to medal. I felt like he
I did
especially
too.
with the
The way Seville
It's
was
hard
looking through the rounds, I was definitely expecting a medal from him. So, again, you just never know what happens in a World Championship final.
What do you think Fred's thinking right now when he had to watch that race? Do you think he watched it? What do you think he did?
That's tough.
That's the ultimate hate watch.
I feel like it's too. He was so upset, and he has every right to feel how he felt. Like it did not come together for him in that semifinals. Personally, I probably would not have watched it if I was in Fred's position, just because it happened like the same day within hours of like you not making that final. I would have to let it simmer. I would probably watch it the next day.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have watched it right now live.
Well, he probably got like a notification on his phone. He probably watched it. I think he watched. He just stood there and was like, God damn it. But now he's motivated to, try to win his first ever Olympic gold, because he came up short in 2021. And now, it's going to be a challenge. Noah Lyles is no longer the new guy coming to the 100-meter party. He's now the host. He is now the place where he's the host of the party. We moved houses. We were in Coleman's house in 2019. And then Jacobs was doing a little thing in his apartment complex one year. And then Curley built his land and was owning the land last year. And now Lyles is moving in, and he's got he's taking over the lease for at least one more year.
Yeah, exactly.